Reasonably strong counterattacks checked some portion of the British advance, but not all. Major General and Japanese Regent John Alcock chose to march to the capital via a slower route, hoping to draw less attention. On the way, he met up with his rogue son Charles, who had by now proven himself in battle so many times that there was little doubt of his natural talent for warfare. He and his increasingly overlooked tutor secured more of the northern coast, even creating a colony of previously undercover Americans left over from their recent failed invasion. Far away, Josarton was calmly swatting down another army of the dying Tanegashima clan.
Halt the column! There's something in the forest.
What is that?
Is it those Japanese spirits, sir?
No, their spirit gods don't make that sound. I've heard it before, though.
Then what is it, sir?
Yanks in the trees.
Yanks?
Americans, the children of the Empire gone astray.
But what is that sound, sir?
That's just what they say. That's the sound of a Yank. A bitter, soul-wrenching cry. Their thirst for glory ever heightened by the achievements of the Empire they betrayed. In their madness, they lost all trace of their humanity.
They are monsters?
Monsters of our own creation.
Should we prepare the men for battle, sir?
No, wait. They are lost and alone. All they need is a home. In their hearts, they only wish to be forgiven. That is the only way to break their curse. We'll need to draw them out. Collect the gold from the baggage train and scatter it in those there hills. I'll prepare an oil to calm them down. Welcome to another episode of Honourable Gentlemen. Joss has just easily taken down a Tanegashima force trying to dislodge him from Tanegashima. Now he'll be in a much better position to take the rest of the island later on. Charles, after setting up our new vassal there, moves on to attack the Tottori. Not much in the way of defense, so we should be able to take this castle, but a bit of spying will reveal that there are plenty of enemy forces just to the east from various clans. So it would be nice to get inside the castle and have a place to defend. There are a few ninjas reinforcing, but I can use night attack to sneak in without them and make that a one-sided engagement. After that, I moved a few forces backwards because I thought the Tottori army that we've left behind on the coast over there might actually attack the Americans, so we'll try and defend them. We're going to be nice to our new vassals, hopefully they'll like us for it. Further down the coast to the west, Dorian is just cleaning up after Charles here. He left the castle uncaptured when he went on his little rampage in the area, so Dorian sorts that out. In this case, I'll make a vassal so that we can immediately move on because Dorian needs to return back towards the front line. Still going to take a while from there. Next up, we've got an ambush staged by John Alcock. You might remember I was trying to ambush this force, which is mostly ninjas, in order to avoid doing a castle defense. Since those so often descend into melee fighting, we don't want to end up being absolutely annihilated by a load of Tetsubo guys. So we're forcing a field battle here. It wasn't a very good ambush, I must say, because we're attacking uphill and we couldn't deploy close enough to start shooting right away, meaning we couldn't just thin out the ninjas from the very beginning like I thought we may be able to. However, after running forwards, we do draw the enemy's attention. They'll be able to charge downhill, so their advance towards us will be extra quick, but still, our first couple of volleys do inflict a decent amount of damage. Now though, we need to do more damage because with these Tetsubo ninjas, if only 10 of them get to our line, we're in big trouble. To reduce the probability of that happening, I'm running away. I want the battle to not take place on the hillside if possible. Plus the enemy's gunners, which are pretty good actually, have now formed up and started firing. We take loads of losses to their first volley there as we escape. One unit of ninjas that's chasing us quite closely there can be dealt with by using my cavalry for a quick rear attack. We've seen before that these colonial lancers can easily take the ninjas down. The enemy though are using their own cavalry. They attacked my riflemen, who I was more slow about withdrawing from their original position, so they could be in trouble. However, with my main line just behind them now set up, they can shoot the cavalry and things end up going okay. So once they're done celebrating, they'll be able to actually get back behind our lines and then go onto our flank to perform some more combat actions. Extra cavalry came in to attack our centre there, going over a little hill, so we probably couldn't shoot them before they arrived. That was very nice. As for this unit, well, our men just didn't want to shoot it before they arrived. Right along the line, actually, various units managed to get into combat with our men just kind of standing there. I'm not sure if they forgot to fire. There are various glitches or just incomplete design that can cause your units to not fire in various scenarios, and we seem to have encountered them. I think because I tried to move the line backwards, it screwed everything up and various units stopped firing, so we actually ended up in melee with lots of full strength enemy melee units, and of course that's an absolute disaster. Multiple companies are defeated very quickly on our right. I'm just now trying to change the focus of the battle and folding it around onto this ridge you can see I've set up on. My cavalry units are trying to take down enemy gunners here, with my own men stuck in melee as well, but we can pull them back behind our new position, and from up there we can then shoot the enemy ninjas more effectively and gun them down while they're just running around trying to chase my cav and generally being distracted. So while we did lose our right flank to the enemy's attack, the centre and left should be able to recover this now. Our cav are just marauding around and ploughing them into the enemy's gun troops here. Probably not the best idea. Just to stop them firing, I thought I might as well try. And as it happened, the battle came to an end at about that point because the enemy chain routed. Very good, but still much harder than I expected.
Damn, so many casualties. Clubbed to death by those savages. They must have known we planned to attack, dressing all their soldiers in black like that. We were betrayed. But it seems so sure that they were falling into our trap. Charles, I wonder if he would have known what they planned. He is right. These natives are something more than the usual breed. They are cunning yet brave. Their pride in their backwardness drives them to extremes, outside of the rules of war. Such a dangerous beast cannot be expected to roll over as we back it into a corner. But if I request more men, then HQ will start sniffing around here and realize the potential of these islands. All my work will be taken away from me, and from Charles. We have to endure. The Japanese fighting spirit may be powerful, but no resolve exists stronger than that in the hearts of Britons. Yes, I am too pessimistic. We carry on.
Charles was attacked in his new position by the Kawana clan, and as they came in for an assault on the castle, I hit them with a massive amount of naval support fire. We've got a full fleet escorting Charles along the coast, so we can fire absolutely loads of shells at them. I think it's 50 per round. The area of effect is very large even on focused mode, but because we're hitting a big formation, that's not too bad, so getting loads of kills as the fight starts. As for the fight itself, we're just doing the usual, standing around and letting the enemy get shot. Once they were closer, we had some more naval support fire. This time it's harder to target it because the enemy are so concentrated together that the wide area of effect means most of the shots end up missing. Plus, they're now pretty close to our lines, so we don't want to put the centre of the area of effect too close to the castle walls because they might break down and kill half of our men. Still, effective at disrupting the enemy's attack, forcing their units to run about all over the place and change their plans, and in general cause a few casualties to get things going a bit faster. Eventually the enemy come in, and it's just the standard affair that we see in most battles of this type. The only notable thing was this guy right here. One of the enemy officers goes on an absolute rampage, attacking my garrison infantry here with his sword and just cutting them down one by one. Our gunners on the wall behind are failing to stop this madman, but eventually he'll have to give up because all of the other troops are going to be killed and the enemy army just routs. There's the result: negligible losses and another enemy army down, and that army was previously guarding the castle just over to the east, so that means we'll of course be taking it very soon as a result. Now over to Joss in Tanegashima. First I need to destroy this dock so that my navy can safely move up to support him as he continues his march through the island. In this case there are two armies in front of us, so it wouldn't be the best idea to attack immediately. I'm going to hang around for a second since he needs to replenish anyway and just see what happens there. Further north in Kyushu, we're going to put a very powerful army together for good old Tadakuni Jervis to now go on his own little adventure. I've taken the best forces I had available locally and recruited a load of these colonial infantrymen using the facilities captured from the Sacho Alliance, and he is going to take his army over towards Shikoku Island and see what he can do over there on his own. I'm sure he'll have a lovely time, plenty of enemies to find, no doubt. Back over on the Honshu front line near Himeji, where we kept getting attacked, we're finally putting an end to the enemy's pressure, in this case just using overwhelming numbers to destroy this big army, and I think that's the last of the things in this area. That green one is my own vassal, and the other armies, as you can see, are nearly dead, so we've got that line secured even without a general really coordinating things there. Dorian, who was originally going to go and support Charles, is now probably going to have to go and support John instead, because he's in a bit of trouble. As you might have noticed earlier, the castle he recently took was swiped away because he was too far away from it to reinforce, so I'm forced to go back to defend my own castle now and replenish my men after that fairly deadly battle against all those ninjas. Meanwhile, Charles doesn't really need any help. He can just continue on and take the next castle in his path. The Tottori army that was threatening to attack the United States seems to have disappeared, so I'm bringing my own men back in from that front. We'll see if they ever reappear. And there's the win on that castle. Nothing too difficult there, and it's a nice choke point because now we've got a T-junction ahead of us, so this is a useful place to rest and rebuild our forces while we plan what to do next. I noticed there was a one region faction somewhere on the map because it was on my diplomacy list. I didn't know where these guys actually were, but because they only have one region, they can potentially be vassalized, and I was able to pay them to become my vassal. So I did that because we do have more money than we really need. As it turns out, they weren't too far away. They're just off to the east. They've got two armies there as well. So while they'll almost certainly just be attacked very soon, they should provide a nice distraction. And speaking of distractions, we're now being attacked again in a castle with Charles's army. Looks like another one of these pretty easy victories. Everything you need to know is in here. A phrase book. Didn't know we could get these. There's only one, that's why, so don't lose it. I made it. Very impressive, sir. We'll see how impressive it is when you put them into action. The Japanese suspect even each other because of the Civil War. You will be stopped at the border of every fief from here to Mino. Should be a simple enough job with the lingo on my side. I've come this far just grunting. Don't underestimate them. Were it up to me, we would never attempt this. But my father's duties as regent require him to ingratiate himself with as many defectors as possible. I understand. I'll rig the wagons to blow. If it goes wrong, I'll send the gold on up to heaven and let my six-shooter negotiate my return here. I might not be here when you return, guns blazing or otherwise. I want to draw the enemy's attention away from the capital. My father is having trouble getting there as it stands. Find me and return me that book. This is a higher priority than delivering the gold safely. From anecdotally observing some of my naval support fire, I decided that the probability of shots landing towards the edge of the area of effect was very low, so I could do things even more danger close than usual. So I fired at the enemy when they were so close to me that I was hitting my own men as well, because my theory was wrong. The shot certainly can land really close to the edge of the area of effect, so we take a couple of shells into our own companies there. Still, the enemy's attack was completely thwarted, not really by the naval support fire, but just by gunning them down, and there's our result. Many of our losses were fortunately on garrison units there, so that's another enemy army down. This time it doesn't necessarily buy up the chance to attack, because that same clan have loads of armies nearby that appear to be on the way, so probably some more action to come there. Dorian now catches up with John. The enemy nearby are just standing around. They didn't come to attack him or anything, so that's nice of them. And I'm going to stay on the defensive there while John replenishes for another turn at least. Down here near Himeji, just a few scraps of enemy armies to clear up from a couple of clans, and we've got so much stuff here ourselves, that's not going to be a problem. I do want to finally get a commander over there though, so I decided it's time for George Hook to return to the game. He's just been sitting around doing nothing for the last several turns, and now I'm going to put him in some boats and start heading him up to join that frontline position at Himeji. The only issue was that the game tries to pathfind me around Shikoku here because it doesn't want to go through the enemy fleets, but I thought, well, we can probably just blow them apart if they try to stop us, so we'll be manually altering that. Now in the next turn I realised what I should do with Dorian is just give all of his superior troops who are in better condition to John, so John's advance can now continue without any further delay, and Dorian can babysit the weaker troops if we need to leave him behind. So we advance up and start our attack right now because we don't take winter attrition as long as we're near the roads, I believe, and we set siege to an enemy castle. I'm going to use Dorian to push away the enemy's reinforcements here, but I'm not going to go for the attack right now, even though we probably could win it. I decided to just wait and give the enemy a chance, I guess, see what happens with that situation overall. Now, Jervis has arrived in southern Shikoku with his fleet, so we're looking for a place to land. First, I spotted an enemy army that we're probably going to have to fight right away, and in it we can see they've got a load of Tosa riflemen who are long-range line infantry. They're pretty powerful. They're kind of a cross between line infantry and like sharpshooters, I think. Anyway, we need to do our little trick here of splitting the fleet in order to have one ship blow up the port guns so that we can then have the rest of the fleet with all of its action still available to make the landing. However, it actually lands the agent on board the ship and not the army, and because that counts as doing a landing for this turn, you're not allowed to land anything else. So that agent is blocking the beach effectively. He took a very long time to get off the ships, and now we're going to have to wait before the army can land, so that's an annoying little delay. Now back to Tanegashima. Joss has replenished up a bit and I've got a couple of extra units recruited now to support him. We push an enemy army away, then after some consideration I decided to go and make this castle assault, even with the enemy army reinforcing, because this gives us a chance to ambush that main force as it comes onto the siege map, just fight them on the edge of the map, and then the actual siege itself will be easy, hopefully meaning we've got rid of that army along the way. Helping us out is the fact it's only a level 1 castle, so it's nice and easy to attack. And I'm even going to do this the slightly edgy way by attacking the castle at the start of the battle rather than waiting for the enemy's reinforcements to be defeated. So I sent Joss with the cavalry, the engineers and our revolver mercenaries supported by the artillery and our reinforcements to go and try to defeat that garrison, while all of the regular line infantry companies will now try to block the enemy's reinforcements. They usually just run right for the castle, so we just need to put ourselves in between them and the castle, and we'll have a nice easy line battle set up there. Our artillery are going to make things easier for our assault team by attacking the enemy on the walls and using the good old physics effect to kill a load of enemies, as well as opening the gates so we can just rush on in there. One of my units among the line infantry was slow in getting into position, and some enemy cavalry tried to rear attack them, but our men did some very accurate shooting just over the heads of my infantry to kill most of the cavalry as they attacked, and we were able to just keep running, getting out of there and getting more kills on the cav until they routed and then just ran off without a further fight, so that was good. They did have more cavalry coming in on our right. I tried forming squares to stop them, didn't necessarily work there, you can see they just ploughed right into the middle of that square, but still our men are quite elite, so they're good in melee and we're supported by the adjacent square, so we'll be able to hold, and then the rest of the fight will just involve me doing nothing and letting my men do the work as the enemy charge towards us, sometimes not even really fighting us because they're just trying to get into the castle, and we'll be shooting down as many of them as possible, and of course using our naval support fire to make that even easier, while we also try to take the castle with our little assault team, which will be no problem. Mr. Arton, I have safely received the materials I asked you to order, so my most gracious thanks. It is everything we need to begin farming tea properly here. The only spanner in the less than proverbial works is that I've been ordered by the Emperor General to go back into the fray. I'll be leaving the business in the worryingly enthusiastic hands of Mr. Broadhurst.
When he comes to you asking to source some rare teaspoon only found in the mountains of western China, don't be alarmed. He knows what he's doing, which is both a blessing and a curse for the new Hook Tea Corporation. At least a venture to the battlefields will net the monies needed for the ships. Don't suppose the Navy hires their holds out for well-known businessmen, does it? At least I'd know I could trust your English boys to know the way back home. The wealthiest tea addicts in London shall be at my mercy. The reinforcement army was defeated and we shot our way through the castle. There were only a couple of units inside, and once we took the capture point, there wasn't much they could do to stop us from just running the countdown down while we also shot them. And since Joss is good at using naval support fire, I can use a focus barrage on pretty much just one unit, blowing up the last couple of guys there. There we have it, that's the castle taken and the enemy army downed. We did take notable losses among the infantry fighting with the enemy's army outside of the castle, since we were getting shot at very rudely, but still we've done enough damage. We'll take the castle, one more army left and another castle, but nothing we can't overcome now, just a matter of time, and we've got all the time we need there as well. Now the Yodo come in for yet another attack at Himeji, and it's similar to one we've seen before. They've got a load of lancers and a load of mounted monk gunners. They've got some ninjas in there as well. A decent enough army, but this time I've got my reinforcements coming in not in the middle of some woods, so we can actually use them a bit more effectively. Similar to the last time this happened, they immediately send their cavalry to attack my reinforcements. Here I'm going to form a square as quickly as possible to try and stop them, and it seems to work a little bit better than the square we saw in the last battle. It kind of stops their charge. Now the supporting fire and our melee skills hopefully will bring those cav down over time. We have another reinforcement group over to the west, and they're able to set up and start firing on the enemy lancers en masse. I thought that a volley from a whole load of units might just kill them. Doesn't appear to be so easy, and some of them actually go right past my line infantry and attack my guns, which are currently wandering off to get to a firing position. Pretty annoying, but still we have enough stuff in that general area that we can just swamp those cav and bring them down. Back over here, those cavalrymen are trying a second charge, and annoyingly my men have been forced out of square and I didn't notice, and now they'll have to take that fight normally. We've got plenty of support nearby though. They also attacked my cavalry with their own cav. Both sides are anti-cav, but theirs are better. But we have the hill and slightly more numbers, I think. Maybe not actually. The main thing that's going to help us there, in theory, is that we have our conscripts who can shoot into the melee, which may or may not make things go more in our favour, depending on how accurately they are doing that. Yet more cav arrive and attack the middle of the three units I have here, so I'm going to try and quickly put them in square as well. And now my conscripts will probably have to support that fight instead, turning to shoot them. They shot the nearer unit to pieces, then shooting here the further unit to pieces. Overall that went okay. As for the fight on this little hill, it was pretty close, both sides losing just about everything, but we'll win in the end now that the enemy's local cavalry units have been defeated. We can overwhelm them. My artillery finally got into position to actually help in this battle, and I'm going to use them to fire on the enemy cavalry that haven't been deployed yet. I think this might be their commander's unit over here, so we're just going to bombard them. That first shot seemed to have the fuse too early and didn't do any damage. Then I'm going to hit them with some shrapnel, which should tear them apart. Shrapnel sort of has mixed performance. Sometimes it works really well, sometimes it actually doesn't do anything. I think it might be a tiny bit glitchy. Meanwhile, all of my reinforcement infantry are having a little battle with some of the enemy's mounted gunners. Obviously we'll win that, and obviously we won inside the castle, just doing the regular strategies against the enemy's very limited supply of infantry. A decisive victory, lots of very battered units in these armies, but still no units lost, and annoyingly still no officers being promoted to command them, which would help us get the men back. Now we've got a present for Charles. Some artillery have arrived from back in our starting region. We've got 6 more units of howitzers. I'm going to dedicate 3 of them to Charles and have 3 more go over to join Dorian and John over there. It will take them a while to actually catch up, but eventually they'll get that artillery support. With Charles, I'm going to take that artillery right away out into the field to challenge the oncoming enemy armies to a field battle. Since we've seen so many castle defences very recently, I'm going to try and make things happen in the field just for some variety on that battlefront.
Now, with John and Dorian, I can just make this attack against the castle. We do have a big advantage. This is the same situation it was in last turn, so I don't know why I didn't bother just auto-resolving it then, because that would have been fine. But now we're doing it here. I guess I was trying to give the enemy a chance to respond in some way, but nothing much happened. There we go, we're in the castle, so our plan to rush towards the capital with John is now back on, and we're going to go for it right away, not waiting around. We'll charge down the road. There are some enemy armies hanging around down here, but nothing special. The first one stands and fights, but I'm going to use a night attack to just completely annihilate them for absolutely minimal losses on our side. I want our army to be at pretty full strength because we might have to fight a stack or two in order to get to Kyoto, and Kyoto itself will have a garrison as well. With them down, I can force the local enemies there to run away, and that'll be the end of this turn. We'll just wait for more opportunities to advance. It looks like in the next episode we will finally be taking Kyoto, although Kyoto isn't necessarily the capital of Japan at this point. That is it for this week. Thank you very much for watching, and special thanks to all of the OfficiallyDevin patrons. Charles will get his dream of a nice messy field battle in order to test out his howitzers, and we'll see if the Regent can't go and join his Emperor in the next episode of Honourable Gentlemen.